You can see them at all hours around the intersection of Mass Ave and Melnia Cass Boulevard, just south of Boston Medical Center. Men and women who are visibly down on their luck and often seem to be in a chemically altered state.
Over the last year, I found they're sleeping in the back of my building. There's a lot more of them sleeping in the front of my building when I come in the morning at 5.
Jerry DiPiero runs a construction company in the heart of Newmarket Square and says the neighborhood has always drawn people grappling with homelessness and addiction. But after the Long Island shelter closed and the Southampton Street shelter opened nearby, DiPiero adds, the challenges grew.
Broken glass, smashed in, trucks being broken into. I've had one of my employees have to resuscitate a guy that was basically died on the side of my building.
As you'd expect, DiPiero says those disruptions are bad for business.
My clients clearly say, would you come over to my place instead of me coming over there?
But DiPiero also has an intensely personal take on the human toll he sees every day. He lost a daughter to a drug overdose. And from his vantage point, the men and women who spend their days on Newmarket streets aren't getting the help that they need.
They need to be in a facility. They need to be, there's counseling, there's stuff that they need to have in order to get better. You're not going to get better being around here, at the corner trying to get change so you can get your smokes, you can get some drugs.
DiPiero isn't alone in his concerns. In a recent Facebook post, the Newmarket Business Association urged the city to reopen Long Island, saying that in Newmarket, the homeless spend all day lying on concrete sidewalks, begging for spare change, dodging traffic, and falling prey to drug dealers. From a clinical point of view, that argument may have some merit.
Many of the women we served on Long Island, they would often say, I like being out here. I'm a little bit away from the hustle and bustle. I'm a little bit away from some of the more in-your-face temptations.
Sarah Porter is the COO of Victory Programs, which is based in Newmarket and works with the homeless and the addicted. If some of Victory's clients miss Long Island, it's clear that Porter does too.
They were close enough to access services, but they were far enough away that they needed to be, and it was gorgeous and beautiful.
But for individuals in dire need of services, Porter says, Newmarket has its own advantages.
If these folks who are hanging out here were to wander over to different parts of the South End or Wellesley or Milton, not anything wrong with those towns, they wouldn't be able to access the services they need that they can here. This is a good place for them to be.
For the record, Porter has no expectation that Long Island will reopen, which means Newmarket business owners like Jerry DiPiero will have to muddle through.
You try to talk to them and just kind of try to help them out or kind of steer them in the right direction.
For now, he doesn't have a choice.
Adam Riley joins me now. Hey there, Adam.
Hey, Jim.
Every time Marty Walsh is on Boston Public Radio, which is an hour a month, every time a family member or somebody who had been staying on Long Island calls and says, what are you going to do about this? What is the mayor going to do about this?
The city says, and I heard this from the mayor's office, that Boston's homeless are better served today than they were before the bridge came down. And they cite some pretty compelling numbers. Boston has housed something like 700 veterans who used to be homeless in the past couple of years. That's almost that entire population. They've identified by name all the other chronically homeless individuals in the city, and I think they've housed around 100 of them so far. They want to get that down to 0. In Newmarket Square, they're dispatching 4 new outreach workers starting next week to walk the streets, get help for people who are in a bad way. So the narrative out of the mayor's office in City Hall is that they're making progress.
And for those who say the only real solution is to reopen Long Island shelter, it's not happening.
The
correct?
official line from the city is that there's a cost-benefit analysis underway to determine whether it makes sense. But I talked today with Jen Tracy. She heads up the Office of Recovery Services for the mayor. And she told me that for her population, it's actually better to be concentrated in Newmarket Square than to be out on Long Island. I cannot imagine she would have said that if there was even a chance that they were going to reopen it.
Adam Riley, thanks so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it.